Train party? When's the train party?
I know, that's always good.
Such May.
No,
Later.
We're live. Okay. Okay, welcome back, folks, to House Human Services. We are going to do a couple of things. So first is, we're going to take up H574, we've just decided, which is a bill about epinephrine use in childcare and pre-K. So apparently there's a small statute change that needs to happen in order to enable childcare providers and pre-K providers to be able to administer epinephrine. And obviously that's an emergency situation. Representative Harpole has been asking about this, and I think that they're going to have a miscellaneous ed bill that we can sort of tack that onto. But I said before, we just sent over, because we have that, and so they want the language so we can transfer it over. But I would like for us, because it deals with childcare and private pre-K as well, I would like us to take a little bit of testimony on that, probably from the Department for Children and Families primarily, just to make sure that they are okay with that, and there's nothing that's going to be an issue. So Lori, if we can maybe fit them in sometime in one of the places, maybe Friday afternoon, H574, to see if we can get them in to talk about that. So that's the way things happen. All of a sudden people are realizing the end of the session is coming, and it's the end of the biennium, and we don't have next year until, all new bills come in next year. So, it's where bills start to look a little bit like Christmas trees, as they say. They get little things tacked on here and there. And, I think this one is one that people should be okay with. So, I don't think we should have a problem with that. And hopefully DCF won't have a problem with that. Okay, so activity down in the Senate. Does anybody have any? I think there was some activity going on. I think, Eric, you've had some activity down there since we last talked.
Yeah, that, the report bill. Rare
Disease Advisory Council?
No, that was me.
No, that's not you.
93?
One that I was on there, you came out.
Yeah, we both.
The health equity data reporting and registry disclosure.
Oh, okay.
Nobody-
Which was actually your bill, right?
He was the sponsor, I was the reporter.
Oh, okay.
I
Not
forgot.
today. I did you both. How?
Yeah, I had a previous engagement.
Yeah, that's
What
what I
our
became the reporter.
Okay, so that doesn't, were there any issues or anything? Okay. I do have a meeting with Senator Lyons at 3:45. It is great.
It is for them.
And so, obviously sort of top on our list, I think they're moving along on 660.
Yeah, that was on their agenda today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be having a discussion with her about 938, 657. She had told me she was going to move the Rare Disease Advisory Council along.
That's on their agenda for tomorrow.
Yeah. So,
I presented on 534.
on 534. Remind me what 534.
Oh, you go ahead.
Oh,
Sorry.
community on community. Did there seem to be any issue?
Yeah, no, they said it looked good. I mean, I just went through it. They had one of the people from Community Action give some input, and didn't seem like it was a problem. They asked me for my floor speech, so I sent that down.
Okay, that's interesting.
Well, I offered it. They were
Oh,
like, yeah, we want that.
okay.
So I said it.
Really helpful. I should start requesting that.
That's-
I always offer it, but.
I've never done that.
I always offer, because it helps the committee kind of understand what was.
The background and
Yeah.
what we did, what happened.
Yeah.
That's a cool, it's a cool idea.
Off they go. So they didn't seem to have any questions. It didn't seem to me like they weren't gonna move it, so put it on your list. Anyways.
All right, that sounds good. And have we heard anything about 938?
It's on,
Eric, would you-
it's on the
Looks like
agenda
Eric's
tomorrow.
on the agenda for tomorrow.
Oh, that's right.
For tomorrow?
Pop down there too.
Yeah. you
I
should
can
both-
go.
Yeah, we should both go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I'm
good.
gonna tell them.
Do you know anything about the status of S two oh six?
Sure, I already responded. Thanks for
Operations.
reminding me.
What is S two oh
Let
six?
them know.
Licensure, early childcare licensure.
Oh, I have a text from the chair of that committee, so we're going to, after I meet with Ginny, I'm gonna try to catch him. Yeah, I've asked, I don't know, I know that they have started to take testimony on it. And I'm, want to get a time frame from him. So, and honestly, if we get through the stuff that we have pending from the Senate, we can start taking a look at the bill as it got passed by the Senate, even though, technically we won't have possession of the bill yet, but never stopped us before. We're not really supposed to do that because there's rules about what you put on your agenda and all that kind of stuff, but sometimes you just do what we gotta do.
They have you as the sponsor of the bill instead of reporter.
Oh, because it was a committee bill.
Yeah.
Um,
And is S two 43 the Vermont Language Justice Project? Is that something we anticipate?
We're going to do, yes. However, it doesn't need an appropriation anymore. So to be honest, I wasn't going to do it with an appropriation because there was no money for it. But we've learned that they have money allocated in a couple of different pots, including public safety. And I forgot what the other one was.
Office of
Racial equity, yeah. And so so the answer is yes, we are gonna do that. And Ray has given Lori a couple of witnesses for us to take a look at there. I will, if you have, when we get to the early childhood education bill, if you have specific witnesses, like if you're hearing from people in your community about this, so like Doug, I think it might be helpful for us to hear from Hawaii, for instance. They're a pretty good sized provider, and I think it would be helpful to hear.
So it testified downstairs from the line.
Did they?
I
Great.
also had a center-based provider in Williston, but they're a constituent of mine.
Yeah, if you have people you want to hear from, we want to hear, I have some home-based provider that reached out to me, and I told her last year, I promised that she could get in to testify. We're interested in all perspectives on that bill. And we will hear from the sort of usual suspects, the department and the AYAC and the Secretary of State's office, and we'll see what the Senate did to that bill. And so we are setting up two field trips, one to the housing project in Waterbury that has DD housing built into workforce housing. That's right on Main Street in Waterbury, and they've invited us there. And the second is for youth homelessness services with Elevate and YDP, right? Youth in general, YDP, is it like all YDP programming?
Well, Elevate Youth has, they're the statewide administrator for YDP. They also have house the Vermont Coalition of Runaway and Homeless Youth Programs, and then for both of those, they have their local programs. They also they have are the statewide administrator for the Youth in Transition program that's through the Department of Health. And then and have their own local program of that. And then they operate a basement teen center here in Montpelier, soon to be hopefully one to be in Barry. They have like the Healthy Youth program, Compass. They do a lot of like at risk and vulnerable youth. They have a whole number of supports and programs they're building out, including over at Goddard College, they have have a lease for some of the old dorms there, and they operate through HOP, like a shelter there, as well return house, which is through a partnership with DCF. They're starting to transition some stuff there. So it's just all throughout Washington County, a lot of different programs for you.
Great. So we're going to be setting up some time there. And we've also been invited to local recovery center here, that's Recovery Center and Recovery Associated Recovery Housing. I don't have that on the schedule yet, but so I think over, once we get the things that we have going right now from the Senate, so the recovery residents and 239, so S 157 and 239, I'm hopeful that we can vote those out next week. Esme is going to report on 239 and Doug's going to report on 157. 243, I don't think we'll be taking a huge amount of testimony on because it's pretty simple. So it would be great to sort of like clear the calendar so we can concentrate on the ECE bill, because that's going to take a bit of time. And we do have the joint House resolution, which is probably going to be more controversial than people anticipate, because the resolution itself is looking to recognize essentially assisted typing for people without speech, and it is not recognized by national organizations or the speech and language pathologists. So they've asked to testify on that, and we are going to have somebody who is somebody who uses typing to communicate, assisted typing to communicate. His name is Chris Medina. He's going to be in this week, right? Yes. And he will most likely have a something that, because it takes a very long time for them to generally type out their responses or what they want to say. So he's going to have some prepared remarks, but he will also be responding to questions that we have. So I'm just giving everybody a heads up that we will need to take some time with that, and it will it's kind of like, you doing something and everybody's staring at you, kind of stuff. So I'm just sort of giving people an advance heads up that, some patience and understanding will be necessary as Chris, responds to our questions that we have on his experience using typing. We'll also get somebody on that from Syracuse University, which is the place where they've done a lot of research in the United States about this. And in some places it's called facilitated communication, assisted typing. There's other names for it. In Vermont, it is used in the Developmental Disabilities Service System. It is used in some school districts. But there's controversy around it, from in the field of speech and language about validation concerns and things like that. So, but I think one of the things that you'll learn is that there's very strict protocols about training and, how that is derived. I've seen this in my work, in my previous work, so have some background in that. I don't know, honestly, if that is something that we will end up voting out or not, out of committee or not. But we're going to take testimony, hear what people's thoughts are about it, and it's a resolution from Representative Burt, the other members had an opportunity to sign on. I signed on to it. I'm not sure how many other people have signed on to it, but that's what's on the agenda for the next week or so. If you know of childcare, family home providers, center-based providers, we are happy to hear from them. And if you have family members or, parents who have utilized childcare who have some opinion about the bill, then, happy to hear from them as well. I want to make sure we do a thorough job of vetting it because it's a big change in the system. It's a very big change in the system.
I also wonder about any other states who've done this. So I'm happy to do some research.
That would be great.
to Find out,
Yeah.
because like I
think we're the first. I think Vermont would be the first to move toward licensure.
Great.
Source completed.
research complete. No.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
But, yeah, let me, look to see if other states may.
I think it's an important question. It's a question, and, we'll hear about this. There's a whole Sunrise report and,
Yeah.
all that. There's a process that the Secretary of State's office uses before they recommend something, to move through the licensure. So, okay. Anybody else have any other little updates that they are interested in sharing? Or things that you want us to do in the next few weeks? Our floor time, this week and next week is not going to be too much, but after that, it'll pick up again as more bills start to make it to the floor. And at some point in time, the Senate will be acting and we will probably, I would anticipate we might have a conference committee on 938. I don't know that, but that would be the only one that I would anticipate that maybe we would need a conference committee on. Hopefully the Senate's not going to make too many changes to any of the other stuff that we got going on down there. And who knows, they might not on 938 either. I don't know. So we'll see what happens on that. We are also trying to get AHS in this week to go over the report that we asked them and the Human Services Board to undertake after the testimony last year about how to improve Human Service Board operations. I think AHS is kind of, I think they're interested in revising the statute. And that report is on our reports page, Lori?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
It isn't, the issues coming morning at 11.
okay. And who is it that's?
Ashley John's general counsel.
Okay, general counsel, okay. Great, thank you. And Ray's done a composite table of all the reports that we have received in, so.
Probably add to them. I did this back in my work sessions.
It was, yeah. So that would be great, because I think we'll have we may have a bit of time in places where we have, and we should be doing some of our oversight and accountability, especially on things that we ask for. There's sort of like the routine reports that come in, but on things that we ask for in response to something that we did, we should be looking at those and making a decision about which ones that we want to have people come in and review, and which ones let's check off the box on the ones we've already done.
Yeah.
Because we have done a few.
Yeah, I can start planning that list out.
Okay.
Adding to it, and maybe we can have some committee time to review it.
Okay, and then on the general legislators' reports, double check on things like DIVA, like the nursing home report was under DIVA. Yeah. Or might be under AHS or, and then any of our departments. So the Department of Disabilities, Aging and Independent Living is hosting a meeting on Monday. And Dan and I are going to go, and Representative Iacoboni. And this is in response to legislation last year around payment reform and impacts. And if anybody has received any emails, like I'm getting emails, I get like at least one a week about the impacts. I got one last week from a family member who, despite all of her best efforts, is still not getting responses from anybody in the system, essentially. And so if you have any emails or stuff like that from constituents who have raised issues around Developmental Disability Services. Feel free to forward them on to me, if they're okay with that. Because I think it's important for Dale to hear that it's, the systemic issues that we all anticipated were going to happen are having an impact on individuals and families, at least from what I'm seeing. There's a lot of finger pointing going on, saying they're supposed to do it. No, you're supposed to do it. And it's like, yeah, not good.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's it. That's all I have.
Great.
Thank you.